Mr. Abramovich, based on the information that you provided in your opening statement, I believe you may have waived your Fifth Amendment privilege. In fact, during your opening statement, you just spoke in detail about the core issues under consideration at this hearing. You cannot now claim privilege to avoid answering questions on the subject matter contained in that statement. You are also here under subpoena and therefore must answer. So if you refuse to answer this question, the committee may seek to hold you in contempt of Congress for failing to respond.
Yes, but
I'll let you, yeah.
under advice of my counsel, I'm not going to answer specific questions.
Move on to another question. All right. Well, they're all the same. All right. All right, I'm going to try one more time, then I'm going to flip it to Senator Blumenthal. Mr. Abramovich, the FCC alleges that your calls falsely claim to be affiliated with well-known travel and hospitality companies, including TripAdvisor, Expedia, Marriott, and Hilton. However, in your prepared testimony, you state that the resorts associated with your telemarketing activities were indeed real resorts. Which resorts did you work with? Did TripAdvisor, Expedia, Marriott, or Hilton ever authorize you to use their names during these calls?
I never misrepresented any of those hospitality companies. All the resorts are legitimate. All the vacations, everything was included. There was no fraudulent activity. The customers knew what packages they were purchasing. There's no reason, I mean, it's not a good business practice calling customers and saying that this is a promotion from Marriott, and then one of the agents might come back and say, no, this is not Marriott, this is another resort in Mexico, and this type of business is not going to work. This is going to be, the company is going to be floated by chargebacks, by misrepresentation. So it's not going to work. It doesn't, I mean, they are, on their web pages, everything is clearly stated. They know what they're purchasing. They're getting a discount vacations because they're going to have a 90-minute timeshare presentation. I mean, there's not a single complaint of customers saying that they did not receive what they paid for.
The FCC alleges that you received payment for your work, and in your response to the FCC's charges, which you submitted as an appendix to your testimony, you state that lead-generating activities do not generate per-call revenue. So how are you compensated?
No, there's a misunderstanding. There's no, I mean, some companies might offer a per-call service, which is very different. Those companies usually use the what they call the avatar service, where it's a voice recognition system. There's no robocalling involved, and they, in fact, indeed get paid maybe $1 or $2 per minute because they are somehow profiling the client before they get transferred to a call center. In my case, I cannot answer that question because it's specific to my activities.
Do you know how many of those consumers actually received the vacations that were pitched to them?
How many?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
How many of the consumers that got calls where they had vacations pitched to them, how many of them actually received or took those vacations?
No, they all received the vacation. Let me explain how it works. Once they are explained about the vacations and the hotels they're going to stay, it's all inclusive and everything, the customer must submit a copy of the credit cards. He has a voucher signed by the client accepting the terms and conditions. If that document is not faxed back to the resort or the company, they will eventually refund the money to the client. I mean, it's a must. They must have a signature from the client accepting all the terms and conditions for these packages. There's no, I mean, if in somehow maybe some agent might say something, that we cannot control all these agents. If, in some cases, if the client is not happy with the vacation or the services, they might always call your credit card and get their money back. I mean, they are protected. There's no fraud in this case.
Mr. Abramovich, can you explain what neighborhood spoofing is?
Yes, neighborhood spoofing is when you're making a phone call with to make it look like it's coming from your neighbor town, from your local area.
Do you engage in that practice?
Again, I'm not going to answer questions that seem specific to my activities. Remember, I have a pending FCC investigation for future amount for $100 million. I might be facing criminal fines. But
Thank you.
I can give you some explanation, like I said, general questions that
So
you,
just-
Chairman, might have.
One final question. In your written testimony, you state that regulation may help with respect to hosted auto dialer services and companies that provide long-distance carrier service. Can you comment on whether you think that?
Yes, I was watching a lot of hearings on the C-SPAN channel lately, and I think that they're coming with this idea of do not originate the technological on the technological side. But I think that the most important factor on these robocalls are the voice-over IP carriers that are advertising the short duration call. When they advertise short duration calls, that means they're going to accept all the calls you can throw at them. It doesn't matter what caller ID you use, they never ask. It's going to be profitable for the long distance, and somehow they, for example, if you call AT&T directly, they're not going to accept that type of traffic because that type of company do not deal with those type of calls. But if you call a small voice over IP carrier, they're going to somehow blend the dialer traffic with the conversational calls and make it look like everything is normal. So that way they are fueling the robocalls. And I think a good idea will be to focus on those 5 or 6 companies that are actually offering services. And they actually clearly stated on the page, we accept short dial ratio call for robocalling. Start your campaign today. Prepayment accepted. You can use any caller ID you want. And you can customize the software to spoofing. It's very easy. You can do that in a day. It's very simple. So if those carriers allow all those calls to go through, the major networks won't see that the calls are coming from a robocaller.
Yeah. Senator Blumenthal.